Hello, my dear. Seems like
Hello.
I guess let's make sure we get all our platforms going live here.
Going live. Yep.
Uh,
All right. I'm
so
live on Instagram. I'm live on Facebook, I believe. Let me check.
I was
All
just gonna.
these platforms. Yes, there we go. We're
I
live
know
in our Beyond Nutrition
free group, the free
free
Facebook
group.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people aren't joined to it, definitely, and you're on Facebook, jump over there and join that Facebook group. Obviously, we still do it have our community. Um, that is, a lot going on in there, right? We've got a challenge going on right now. We've got all sorts of meetings happening every week. We've got apparel. We've got all sorts of stuff coming up or happening over there. So definitely
Yeah. Well, I
jump.
guess we should introduce ourselves since we are faceless on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple podcasts, right? So I'm Sherry, and you can find me on social media, Instagram and Facebook. I go by Step by Healing Step, all one word. And Becky, you tell them where to find you.
Yeah, I am Becky. And that's that is what I've kind of branded myself as, right? I have stepped away from a lot of labels and titles, and I'm on Instagram simply as I am Becky Niles. I am just myself. So I cover several areas that are not just a food dogma area, and I do a lot more in the way of natural health, healing, and wellness, as well as circadian and everything else that go into our lives. So yeah, I'm on Instagram as I am Becky Niles. I'm on Facebook as Becky Niles Coaching, and I am Becky Niles. It's all one. So either of those, if you search Facebook, you'll be able to find me. But welcome to all our podcast listeners. Definitely, give us some feedback about the podcast if you're on Instagram or Facebook. Any of like you said, our eight different streaming platforms right now.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a few things we're going to talk about tonight, but we're also open to answering any questions. But yeah, we also have some exciting announcements. So definitely hang out and join us for the show.
Yeah. So happy Monday, everyone.
Right? What a Monday. The Monday following daylight savings time. How is everyone feeling after changing the clocks this weekend? That's kind of crazy. I wish they would end up past that Sunshine Protection Act so we didn't have to keep flopping back and forth.
Right? Yes. Yes. Spent as many breaks as possible outside in the sun today, as I do anyway. That wasn't really anything, but that makes a big difference when it comes to the time change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it makes a difference um to any
Right,
part of our life, right? It's one of my
right,
non-negotiables. It's not as though I
right.
end up and I change it or, add to it. And that's one of the things. I had just got off a coaching session here before we went live, and I was talking to her about, do you get a afternoon slump? And that's one of the things. Um I told her, to make sure she continued to add, because it does truly end up and make a difference for many people. And it's a non-stimulated way, right? It's a natural way.
Right,
It's a, a free way, right? It's
right,
essentially.
right.
And that's one of the things. But yeah, I'm so excited because what a weekend. We had an amazing weekend, but it
Me too.
does for those that are watching. Obviously you get us twice in what, 3 days. Had amazing guests this weekend, so it seems like we just went live not too long ago, which was Saturday.
Saturday. Yep, we sure did. We had a special guest. That we have been trying to track her down. She had to cancel a couple times. One was the birth of her grandchild, so it was like, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. But we're talking about Robin of the Hack Your Health KetoCon that's coming up the end of May in Austin, Texas. And if you hadn't listened, if you didn't listen to it, go ahead and go back and it's the one previous to this one. Give it a listen. Learned a lot about Robin and kind of her passions and what drove her to do what she does. And it was a neat conversation. I really walked away from it excited.
Yeah, she's very passionate. I ended up and I had one of our BNC members that was watching it message
Mhm.
me and was like, "Wow, what a classy lady." Right? She is just
Yeah,
so passionate telling her story, and like you said, if you weren't there on Saturday, go back and watch it because it was a very good, what drove her and her ignition as far as, starting, the Q1 production and being able to create this event, right, from basically bottom up and
right.
just what it has built into, today. It's one of the largest keto events and, it's just
Well,
amazing, all the speakers and
yeah, and she's actually moving away from like we do. We don't, per se do keto. Um, we subscribe to other methods of nutrition, but that's why she rebranded it Hack Your Health. Because just like we have the beyond nutrition community, that's kind of what she was aiming for. So there are people there that talk about carnivore and, of course, keto, but there's other people there, regenerative, agricultural. What else did she say? It was really interesting.
one of my favorites, the hydrogen. Dr.
Yes.
Paul will end up and be there with the hydrogen. But yeah, there's so many different panelists that are going to be there. I looked through the schedule finally dropped, and I looked through it. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that you're going to want to catch all 3 days. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It starts on Friday, March 31st, goes through June 2nd.
Yep.
And like I said, it's definitely something that you're going to end up and want to catch all of them because not only is it talking about, our metabolism or, kind of how to hack that. My friend Danny Hamilton is going to end up and be there of hacking that hangry and getting off of that blood sugar roller coaster, which is a whole nother thing that we'll talk about tonight. Of my weekend and the run in I had with someone. Well, I can't really say run in, right? Encounter I had with someone this
Right.
weekend in regards of their blood sugar. But yeah, there's panelists in regards of regenerative ag. There's influence behind nutritional and biophoton modulation. They're carnivore, like you said, carnivore, keto. So it's not that they're moving away from the nutrition side, but looking at some of these other modalities as far as how we can end up and hack our health and continue to improve.
Absolutely. We have a code. So if you're interested, we have a code when you go to buy tickets. Make sure you put in BNC 50 and that will get you $50 off the price of the admission. That's good for VIP, that's good for general admission, and it's good for if you just buy the Sunday ticket. So it's good for any one of those. So it's again B as in beyond, N as in nutrition, C as in community, 50. So there you go, BNC 50. So hope to see you there. You will see Becky and I walking around. Should we tell them? what we're going to be walking around doing.
I was gonna say we're gonna be pretty easy to pick out because we will end up and have the BNC apparel. So we
Yep.
will have a shirt that says BNC. Um, Also on that Friday night, one of the other exciting things that's gonna happen is we're actually having our very first BNC meetup. So anyone that is a BNC member, will and that is going to KetoCon will be able to meet up with us. We have a couple people. I'm not going to end up and name any names yet, but we
Yeah.
have a couple people that are speaking at KetoCon that may end up and join the party as well, or join the meetup, whatever you want to end up and call it. But
Yeah.
that'll be happening on the Friday night. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
It
Um,
is.
we'll be able to have that, and you never know who's going to pop into that meetup, but
Right.
we have a couple that are potentially going to make an appearance. And so, yeah, that'll be Friday. Of course, then a great lineup of speakers also on Saturday and Sunday. Sad I'll have to miss Sunday afternoon, but hopefully,
Yeah.
fingers
It's the
crossed,
way
things
those
work out.
yeah, those flights dictate a little more than what we want. But yeah. So why are we having this community get together? Well, because we feel that it is very important that we in the BNC community, we all share a common interest. We may not have the same backgrounds, we don't have the same location, um, but we're definitely bounded together because we have shared experiences. We grow together inside the BNC community. Um, it's a sense of identity. And we have a plethora of resources that you can access for information. Um, it's just plain improved mental health, right?
Absolutely. And I just added the little ticker at the bottom, right? If you want to join us and you want to have the ability to meet us, give us a hug, give us, some of that love, right? Give us that hug and just end up and actually hang out with us in person. Not only
Right.
us, we have other coaches from the community that are going to end up and be there. We've got community members that are going to be there. But that meetup is only for BNC members and
Right.
their, spouses or plus one. So definitely, join the community, join us there. Would love to end up and have you. May even have some exciting giveaways. I know we're like literally
We're
80 days away from this, but there's a lot
working
in the
on it.
works. A lot in the works as far
Yep.
as what is going into this meetup. So you won't want to miss out on it.
Yeah, I'm truly, truly excited about it. We're in the planning well, we're a little more than just planning. We're in the throes of it right now. So Becky and I talked a lot today on, how we were going to do this and get it to fruition. It'll be fun. I'm just the community aspect alone of meeting these people that we see on camera, right? On our faces. Like you see me from here up. And yeah, I only see you from here up. And speaking of, you just got your hair done.
All right. I cut it.
Yeah.
I chopped it. So I promise it was not a like midlife crisis type thing. This is normal for me. I tend to end up and go through periods where I'll grow it out long and then I like literally like chop it off. And I don't know. I think we all in all probably chopped off somewhere between like 12 and 15 inches of it. So yes, I butchered my hair. I didn't personally. I had a gal do it, which is kind of the other thing, in regards of wow, what a weekend, or well, what a weekend, right? I tried
Yeah.
really hard. Sometimes it's very hard to not share this, share everything. obviously very talkative, right? And very passionate when it comes to this type of approach and lifestyle and the things that go beyond, right? And so anyway, I'm sitting in the chair, waiting for my beautician because my daughter was getting her hair done too. And I'm just sitting there, trying to mind my own business, right? Just stay out of everyone else's, mind your own. Um, but this gal kept talking, and she was formerly a diabetic. Well, anyone that knows me knows, I work one on one with type 1 and type 2. I mean, we have a type 1 that I'm sure is probably watching this right now that we've interviewed, April. If you
Mhm.
haven't, followed her story or heard her story, go check it out. We did an interview with her. Um, as well. But just in regards of the lifestyle and the nutrition and, all of that. So I was sitting there and this gal was talking about being on pharmaceutical medication and it wasn't working. So they switched it to a different one and she took it a couple times, but she thought it was just because she had started it. She was kind of a little bit dizzy. Hey, she is there. Hey, April. Um, and so anyway, she was talking. Well, she's type 2 diabetic, so she's not the type 1 like April is, but same same in the aspect of carbs, right? Anyone that eats carbs is going to have more insulin, whether you're type 1 or type 2. And if you're not, you're going to end up it's in your blood sugar just as a normal person. But the disconnect that some people end up and have around nutrition and their body and how the body responds sometimes is my computer is freezing. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
You're good.
Um, okay. I'm like kind of froze there for a minute. But um they were discussing things and it turned into, well, when I have this, my sugars, are just crazy. And she was talking about breakfast. Well, the more she kept talking, I finally chimed in and I said, well, have you ever looked at, maybe just like bacon and eggs? Or have you looked at not having them as, naked carbs? And she said, she kind of gives me a weird look. And she said, you mean like just the plain pancakes and syrup I have? Yes,
Ooh,
honey, not having the pancakes and syrup, right? Changing
yeah.
off of your high sugar, high carbs. Well, the doctor just told me that and I'm like, "Yes, I understand," but I said, You gotta understand what I do for a living." I said, "I end up and I coach, I work for many nutritional, platforms and teach this," right?
Yeah,
I said,
right.
"I understand what your physician, your endocrinologist is telling you. And I am not going against him because I'm not giving you medical advice. But I said, take a look at how your body responds, how you feel if you end up and you have, a eggs and bacon versus that pancake. Or if you eat, fat and protein for your lunch, how you feel the rest of the day. Um, Take notice of how you sleep and your numbers, the next day. Of course, this gal just had a grandbaby, so she was running on like 3 hours of sleep. And she's like, well, my
Oh,
numbers are kind of all over today. And I'm like, that's the cortisol, that's the lack of sleep, and that disconnect that she ended up and had with her normal daily routine and how it was what was impacting the blood sugar. I mean, she kinda had a idea when it come to the food, but on the other hand, the whole, "You mean I can't have my pancakes?" And it wasn't a joking
right.
aspect either, right? She's
No, 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 it's honest.
and I'm like, yes. So things like your pancake or things like your toast or, things like that, you may have to give up, your grains and glutens and those type of foods. until you get this, better managed, and then maybe, create a little bit better metabolic flexibility or whatever. But I'm
Right.
like, mm-hmm, you're gonna
Well,
have
that
to not have pancake and syrup.
yeah, and that's sad because I was there, years ago, before I started my healing journey. If you go look at the American Diabetic Association, um, they want half your plate
Hmm.
of carbs. And it's like, so you follow it and you follow, nutrition. Like I've been sent to nutritionists for my diabetes. And they'll tell you to, oh, well, as long as it's under, 15, 20 grams of carbs, whatever you're eating, it's okay. And all the while, I kept getting worse, right? And they kept piling more medication on me. And uh, I calorie restricted, right? Oh, okay, I'll eat 1,100 calories a day. And, I did the other, all the other things out there, the Weight Watchers and the, Nutricent or what is the food, they send you the
Hmm.
food. And I mean, I even did starvation. Like, I was like, what? At one point, I'm like, I ain't eating, like, unless I'm like gonna fall down from not eating. Like, I had
Hmm.
no clue what I was doing, but I was also so desperate to get rid of this diabetes to the point that I sought out gastric bypass surgery and got down to literally scheduling the surgery, and for financial reasons backed out. Um, and I lost hope. I mean, I get where she was coming from. I have a cancer patient as one of my clients, and she was crying to me that she caused the cancer. And it's like, well, yes, you did things that lit the match for it, but we also weren't taught the things that we should have been doing all along. So, such as, because I have her on a carnivore diet right now because that is literally helping to starve her cancer. Now, she's in treatment, she's under doctor's care. What's interesting is her oncologist told her to also eat protein. So, and she's starting to really more and more wake up to things. And now she's understanding that we weren't taught this.
Well, many of them, like you said, that are following mainstream guidelines, right, are carbs
Mhm.
and cover. So
Right,
they end up and they still give them carbs, but let's end up and, give them more insulin to cover, right? It's not
right.
about maintaining, and that's where we have some special guests coming up as well.
Okay.
But real quick, anyone that is following us on these different platforms, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm watching all of the different streaming platforms, so if you have those questions, definitely end up and put them in there for us. We're happy to do a little bit of Q&A tonight as well. But yeah, so that's where many of it stands is the carbs and cover. But like I said, we have guests coming up that are going to be very informative in regards. And, we also talked to April about how she shifted and how that has worked for her in regards of, not needing as much of that insulin. So it can be beneficial not only for diabetic or non-diabetics, but also diabetics type 1, type 2. So yeah, it's sad because it's not what they're teaching many people. Like
Mhm.
I said, this gal I had uh she was on metformin, and I asked her, I'm like, well, have you ever heard of like berberine, or have you, looked at any other products that you can consume around your meal that will help with, your glucose response as well? Obviously, it won't, make it so that there's no response, but there are things out there that will help with decreasing that response. And she just, like I said, had absolutely no idea. um, what I was talking about, right? The
Yeah.
berberine or apple cider vinegar, or, I know that there is another company out there. Um, I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, but it is beneficial to have around a meal. Um, so yeah, things like that other people share, like I said, but um, and welcome to everyone that is joining. I see you. Uh, they're commenting over on Instagram, but
Oh,
yes,
are
I
they?
see you.
Okay.
Welcome. Um, so yeah, it's just that whole mindset of
Yeah.
nutritional advice, my plate, eat this, eat that, and what a disservice it is doing to many. I'm not saying that everyone has to be, carnivore or keto or, um,
Right.
even if we can just get people to whole foods,
Yeah.
um, it can be beneficial. Now,
Yeah.
that,
Do you remember, Becky, when you got started on your health journey? And because it was, you know, kind of the fast food, the quick fix foods, that kind of stuff. Do you remember when you first started out? It was like, oh my goodness, what do I eat? Like, how do I cook? How do I fix
yeah.
things? Do you remember going through that?
Well, yeah, and I just spoke to, a client too. She's like, I don't know what to fix anymore. She's like, I did this, I did that, I did, there's so much noise out there, right? When I first started, I didn't have all the noise. I didn't have, eat this way or eat this way, or high protein low fat, or high fat, adequate protein, or you know any of that, right? I had to go about doing my own searching. That's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about creating a community, creating somewhere that we can come together that is non-dogmatic in regards of other lifestyles, right? Because we do have people in the community that are doing more of just like a whole food
Yeah,
approach, and that works for them. We have some that are carnivore, right? We have some, doing all sorts of fat fasting or whatever, which I did get asked today if I would do another fat fast masterclass. So that may be coming into the works as well.
very good.
Um, but yeah, so just that whole aspect. But when I started, I did just start by, doing standard keto, therapeutic ketosis. And it was whole food, but then now we're talking several years ago. Then it turned into all the processed keto foods coming out, right? If it had keto
Right.
on the label, that was before I dug deep into reading labels,
Labels. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so if it had keto, right, the Quest
It was
chips, the
keto.
bars, the blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yep.
saying that some of those products aren't, but now you're getting a lot more, right? You're getting foods
Process.
in the
Yeah. It's
center aisles of, the grocery store that are
right.
slapping keto labels on. And once you start to dig deep into the ingredient list, it's like, but that's not keto, right?
Right.
Now, what is keto? Um, that's where I say, stay more whole food, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not this or that or blah blah blah, right? But it is the cleaner ingredients, right? You still can't have sugar, and there's just some of these ingredients that are hidden under other names that are not
Right.
ideal for
Yeah.
most people.
I was just gonna
Now,
say, Google, literally type in your search engine all the names for sugar. It's eye-opening right there.
yeah, I was just reading April's comment. Yeah, the hidden names, it's just crazy. And April, I'll be posting in the BNC community. I literally just, once I get in there tonight, I'll have more information. But yeah, um, we will have the BNC wearables, and
Yep.
other items within the BNC community for purchase, and especially those that are going to KetoCon. She has guaranteed me you can end up and get them in time to wear them to keto or hack your health the end of May. So
Yep.
the turnaround time is great on that. But um, yeah, it's just, and then obviously, I did other aspects for way too long that never really 100% fixed everything. It wasn't until I put everything together that we talk about in the BNC community into place that
Yep.
it did fix and correct and made a difference.
It did. It did. And I started out the same way, putting in my search engine on what was keto. And then I would go out and buy those products. And I remember asking a friend of mine, right? Like who had done keto one time. I'm like, well, what kind of salad dressing do you eat? Right. And she was like, yeah, use a little bit of um ranch dressing. Just don't use much. Right. That was the advice I got. And it was like, well, then, like you said, once you start reading labels and understanding ingredients, it was like, oh my goodness. No wonder I was not very successful. Well, I was actually not successful for about 21 months, but that was because of my severe insulin resistance. So, I had that added layer onto probably some people that don't have that. So that's been my huge battle, was what would work. And it didn't matter what programs I belonged to, I did, nothing worked. Refeeding or the carbing up or doing anything like that just made me worse. And until I sought out the Beyond Nutrition, and wearing my CGM, my continuous glucose monitor, did it then become more clear. And there's more to all that. I'm just hitting highlights, um, but yeah. Oh, I have some exciting news.
What's that?
I got my business cards.
You got them. Yay.
Yay! So I will take a picture of this and post it on my social media so you guys can see it. I'm going to have those in hand at Hack Your Health. And yeah, and I'm also working on a document that's titled, and let me get, because it's a big title. Like, you know,
Do
it's
I
a
need
title.
like a drum roll going on
Ye
here?
Right, yeah. So I'm working on a document that, will be for sale, and I promise you it won't be a bazillion dollars. It will be affordable, but it's called Keto for Overall Health: A Beginner's Guide to the Ketogenic Diet and Lifestyle. Just to help people start out. These are the things I wish I had known when I started, right? So, um, right, yeah. This well, that echoed. Um,
Mhm.
but it was things I wish I understood a little more. It's a beginner guide, right? I go into some pretty good detail on it. So I'm working on that. That's going to be obviously free inside the BNC community, but if you are not part of the community, you can purchase it. I also have the my macro and healing journal. It's a 3-month journal. It's not your typical journal, right? Food journal. It gets into other things like I'm trying to think here. Hold on. Let me get my
Your macro
thoughts
journal
together.
gets inside the daily aspect, but the
Yeah.
measuring, I mean, it goes into the moon cycle, because that's one of the other programs that I'm working on creating too, is the lunar bite.
Right.
And how do we, not only with the seasons and circadian, but how do
Mhm.
we in correlation with the moon and the moon cycle? So learning to rely on some of these other signs, getting away from the scale, ditching that scale, right? It's the little box on the floor that lies to us. Um,
Right.
but also in the BNC community, we do fasting. That's one of the things that you also have in this journal, is how do we incorporate, or if a person is ready to incorporate different fasts, right? We do anywhere from fat fasting, water fasting. We have Coach Kevin that ends up and does more of the dry fasting protocols. Um, but also, there's well depth aspects of your day, your weekly planner, measurement pages, to incorporate all of this and continue this tracking process for the healing journey.
So it's going to go hand in hand with the Lunar Bites program. You're going to be able to track that information. So this is a little more than just your typical fill out your form. It gets into the, how much sunlight are you getting and exercise, things like that. Um, it's a digital download, and you can print off a week, a month. It's actually a 3-month journal. But you can print off however much you want and track. One of the things that I get asked by some of my clients is when I talk to them about fat fasting, um, they want to know how did I know what worked for my body? Like, what were the macros that worked? And that's what sparked this journal. Was this is going to help you see. And it took me, I think it took me about a month, 2 months to see a pattern of the fat fasting along with the moon, right? I am in menopause, and watching the moon cycles, for layman terms here, it's kind of like, when was my cycle as a woman, as in menopause, and I could track that. I figured that out, and thank goodness it was because my husband looked at me and said, I would swear you're still having a cycle." And it's like, it again, that tracking helped me figure that out. So that's something that's available for purchase, or if you're inside the community, I'm giving it to the community members. Becky, you've got some programs as well.
I do, and I just shared the link in the comments or in the chat, and I'll share it over on Instagram in just a minute. But we do have several things in the store, if you will. To find that, for those of you that are listening for on the audio on the podcast platforms, if you just go to beyondnutrition.mykajabi.com/store, you'll see all of our different programs. And the ones that we have, I mean, obviously, we have where you can join the community, right? You can end up and join the Beyond Nutrition community. You get 12 meetings per week, as well as all these other free guides, free resources in that community. But I do have the Fat Fast Masterclass. I've got a intuitive step guide that is uploaded there. My circadian rhythm masterclass that I did is uploaded there, as well as coaching. And since he's not on our live tonight, I will give the other two programs that are in that store a shout out, which is the breath work that Kevin does. And he's got a couple different options. Again, that's just beyondnutrition.mykajabi.com/store. You can find those other programs in there as well. But also, the other exciting thing that we have at the very top of that page is where it says "Find Your True Self." Book a BNC coach. So if you click on that teal colored button, it will pull up. The BNC community, the C also stands for coaching. So all 7 of us coaches have a coaching profile link or personal experience. Let me say that personal experience link there where you can read our personal experiences. You can, reach out to one of the coaches if maybe one-on-one is your thing. Maybe community isn't your, niche, if you will. You're not quite ready for group setting. That's okay. Reach out at least because many of us have been through a lot of what you're going through. We
Right.
remember that step one. We remember what it was like to be in those trenches and trying to come out of depression, anxiety, many other mental health related issues to I dealt with a lot, in regards of hormones and thyroid and having a hysterectomy at 29, right? So the weight gain that come with that. Um, I mean, between all of us, we have um, several areas, right? Several niches to us that end up and have the ability to help you. So you don't have to navigate the journey alone. There
No.
is help out there, and many of us are very passionate about helping and making sure that you not only, survive the next steps, but learn to truly thrive in your journey.
Well, and we're hoping that through our struggles and our journey, that you don't have to struggle like we did to figure out what worked and what different. You're Everyone has to figure out what works for them. I mean, the big thing that I've been watching on social media here lately is the food police on a lot of the influencer sites, a lot of the people that are just out there going, hey, I'm eating a certain way, and they put their food out there, and apparently they're just getting plain attacked by, oh, that's not carnivore, or that's not keto, or that's not, whatever. And the truth of it is you have to find what works for you. Um, I personally cannot eat like Becky eats. It doesn't work for me. I'm too insulin resistant and still working through uh, my metabolic health. Uh, I can't eat like she eats, but it took me a long time to figure that out. I am unique.
Mhm.
Becky is unique, but we can help you tweak that, right? We can get you at a starting point and then work on the macros that will benefit your journey.
Mhm.
Um, it does take some trial and error. This is not a overnight. Beyond nutrition is stackable. Isn't that what you call it?
Yep. Yep. It's all those normal daily habits. And it's not
Yeah.
about tackling them all at once.
No.
What can you put in that is going to be sustainable, right? We're looking
Right.
at a sustainable lifestyle. We're
Yeah.
not looking at, I've got to do, the next 10 steps in order to see success.
Right.
It's about what can I do today? Maybe that's just simply getting up 5 minutes earlier than you did, or maybe,
Yeah.
you know, reading a book before going to bed, or maybe it's, really being mindful and connected with a little
Yeah.
bit of deeper breathing before going to bed.
Right.
It doesn't
We're
have to be complicated, it's
right.
sustainable.
Right. This is wearing my blue blockers is sustainable. Right. This is easy to pick this up and put
Mm,
this on when it gets dark. Right. And actually I should be, you know, um I'm a nerd, and so I have three different colored lenses for different times. Um, but if this is all you've
yep,
got, we call that good, better, best, right? And we're not in here. The BNC community, what we don't do is push 1,000 supplements on you or thousands and thousands of dollars of products because we feel that your body, this is about healing the whole body, right? This isn't about, here, we're going to trade out your medicine for a handful of the supplements. So, supplements and medicine all have their time and place. We don't discount that. But there's still no, embarrassingly, I don't know if you guys have been following. I sold my house and we've moved into our travel trailer. This is where I'm sitting in the middle of small town America. I'm out in the country. I just heard our a cow go by mooing. Actually, it was a longhorn steer that went by mooing here a few minutes ago, and I was starting to chuckle because he was loud. I don't know if anybody heard him, but um, all of that, and there was a point in that, Becky, and I just lost my train of thought because I started talking about the longhorn steer.
The fact of making it sustainable. This is real life, folks, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just heard something too. Yeah. So it's what's sustainable. And sustainable for me was to keep something simple as putting these glasses on at night. Um, you know, that's sustainable. Sustainable is to take a 5-minute break and go outside and stand in the sun. That's sustainable. Um, but I didn't do that all at once, right? That you didn't go out and do snow angels in the middle of winter.
Hey, no, I really
No,
didn't. And that's
no,
one thing that many people need to, like you said, need to recognize is the fact that I started by simply going outside. I was bundled up, right? I started with see the sunrise. That was one of the first things. Get outside and see the sunrise. And then I just stacked it. I continued to stack it, moving from there.
correct, correct. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what, it was a whoa, what a weekend for both of us. Started out, I believe, with Robin from Hack Your Health. It moved on to, I got my business cards, all the planning we're doing for Hack Your Health that we have in the works. And of course, the poor lady that you were sitting next to getting your hair done. I mean, it makes me want to go find her and hug her, right?
I did too. And I'm like, I told her, I'm like, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, right? We have a whole community. We've got one-on-one coaches. We're happy to end up and help. And like you, I have business cards, right? I end up and I carry them with me
Yeah,
because it's what I do. It is my passion
yeah,
to be able to help and support and be able to reach and help these people reverse their conditions, right? Metabolic
right.
disease is not something that we have to live with um, and live in that state. We are able to reverse it, and like I said, we're here to help.
We absolutely are. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight. We were kind of excited to talk about what we have in the works and what's going on. We're getting really excited for Hack Your Health. We've got other people that we're going to bring on the podcast. We're working on that. If you happen to know somebody that would be a great interview, let us know. We would love to talk to them. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on is the fact that, look, we're just two normal women. We don't get dolled up to come on here. We don't get, put on airs. We don't have a big production. We're not even talking on, we don't even have like microphones that we're talking on. We're just,
I have my wired headphones.
right. I mean, but we did that by design because we're just everyday people. And that's who we want to help is the everyday people. That truly is our passion.
Yep, exactly. So again, don't hesitate to reach out if you are someone that is looking for community, feel free to, join the BNC community. You've heard us talking of the meetup in person, getting together at Hack Your Health. That is just for BNC community members.
Absolutely.
We welcome you with open arms to end up and join us and, be there not only at Hack Your Health, but be there at our meetings, and we'd love to visit with you. Just double checking our platform. Make sure we don't have any final questions jumping in.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of people saying, hey, hello. But yeah, if you want to join us, join the community, you'll get more details in regards of how to purchase apparel. That is coming soon, as well as meetup details.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much, Becky. This has been a fun conversation. We actually do have a meeting that follows our podcast in the BNC community. This particular meeting is hosted by Becky, so I'll let her tell you what this meeting is.
Yes, I jumped directly. What is the flight speed?
We know.
Yeah. So with that being said, I do the nutrition macro fat fasting meeting. Anyone that has purchased the Fat Fast as well as the community can ask questions in regards of the fat fasting during that meeting, but also the aspect of maybe just, what works for you, hear other people discuss nutrition. We are beyond the nutrition, but we're also not dogmatic in just one nutrition. So, like I said, we're not just another single entity nutrition program. We are beyond. So feel free to jump over and join us for that meeting. Those meetings are about an hour long, give or take. Some of them go over, some of them last a little bit shorter, but definitely jump over and join any of our 12 meetings per week.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, everyone.
I was going to say, I don't have any questions on any of my platforms, so I guess we shall wrap this up and look for us again next Monday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time. We go live, and we look forward to seeing you.
Absolutely. And definitely keep an eye out for any guests that